My name is Jason Kowalski, and I fight climate change with 350.org. We are a global climate organization fighting in 180 countries, building a climate movement from the ground up. I'm our U.S. policy director, and here I maximize the political impact of our U.S. campaigns, from divestment to fighting the Keystone XL pipeline. What experts are saying is that climate change is a contributing factor to conflict all over the world, whether it's forced migration or conflict over scarce resources. For example, water in a place like Syria. We're seeing climate change become a threat multiplier. Climate change creates suffering. The greed of a few people at the top running massive global fossil fuel companies are hurting people in the real world. But at its worst, climate change causes violent conflict. It causes civil wars. It's forcing people to move, it's making scarce resources even scarcer, and it's making it harder for countries like the US to show real leadership toward world peace. In the last couple years, US action on climate change has been a game changer. When the US took action to reduce pollution from coal-fired power plants, was China and India coming to the table, the Europeans coming to the table. Within the last few years, President Obama has been able to broker a deal with countries the world over to basically say the fossil fuel era is coming to an end. We are moving away from fossil fuels. Clean energy is the way of the future. The science on climate change suggests that we don't have much time before we wreck the climate. In order to fix climate change, we need to keep 80% of known fossil fuels in the ground. The US has a choice. Historically, we've emitted more pollution than any country in the history of the world. But we also have an opportunity to make historic investments in clean energy, to keep fossil fuels in the ground here at home, to lead the way to global climate deals like the one we saw in Paris in December. The outcome of this year's election will have major ramifications abroad. President Obama made a landmark climate deal in Paris. If our next president is a climate denier, that'll make it much harder for global cooperation on this issue, for countries to come together, and for a lot of the commitments we've made to be followed through on. The litmus test for climate leadership for presidential candidates this year is whether or not they'll keep fossil fuels in the ground. We've seen a number of candidates come forth with bold proposals, saying no to fracking, saying no to new offshore drilling, saying no to coal mining. That makes a difference in the world of climate diplomacy. Other countries are taking note of the conversations we're having in this election year. That means saying no to projects like Keystone XL. It means saying no to projects like Arctic drilling. If you want to learn more about how to join the fight against climate change, join us at 350.org. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram.